The LyonShare podcast with our host, Ed Lyon. And Ed, you're in a different location today.
I'm in a different location and I'm in a different state of mind. I'm in a conference room at Turfway Park in Northern Kentucky, where I've been teaching my certified tax and business advisor class. We started yesterday afternoon. We'll be working through Friday. So it's Wednesday today. And we've got a group of about 40 people, mostly financial services people, but attorney and a CPA, and we're learning about tax planning strategy. So what I wanted to do today was bring some of my students here and talk about how much fun it is to learn about paying less tax and some of the surprising things they've learned in this class.
I'm excited about this one. Okay.
All right. So guys, if you want to introduce yourselves first, let's get a murderer's row. We'll start with you, Colonel.
Okay. Ken Ring. I'm a retired Army colonel, but also CPA.
Okay.
I'm Earl Harden. I've been doing financial services for about 8 years.
My name is Paul Chao. I'm an enrolled agent and a real estate tax strategist.
Okay.
So these guys have varying levels of experience with tax. Paul has been doing tax planning for several years. He works with a firm in the Detroit area and has been working primarily with real estate agents. He and I have known each other for several years now. Earl and Ken are new to me, but we're all having fun helping people beat the IRS legally. So we've been talking about strategies. I've been working through some business strategies and also some individual strategies. But Ken, I want to start with you because you are a CPA.
Yes, sir.
You have those beautiful 3 letters through your name.
Right.
And yet this is new to you. So I'm hoping you can start by telling us how this has changed the way you look at taxes with your individual clients.
It's changed quite a bit. So many of the things that I'm learning about here, I've heard for the first time here in the class. Some of them I've known about, but didn't know the details or how to implement those. I've been in the financial services industry now for just about 3 years, but coupling my CPA experience with this has been very helpful to bring clients in because they want somebody who can give them answers as well. When I learned about this course and about Ed coming here, I just saw how this is just going to accelerate the advanced planning section that we're putting together with our organization at the GFI. I could tell you that as you dig into these, it's obvious that there's a lot that you can do that just people don't know about or if they've heard about it. But more importantly is how it's backed up because Ed's really going through, all right, here's the strategy, here's the code, here's how it works, here's the risk. And sometimes the risk is just on the individual, right? It's eye-opening, it's impactful. It's going to help immensely with our clients and with getting other clients in.
Ken, would you say your clients expect you to know all of this already, or is this that they don't even know exists?
They don't know because the things that I was doing from my knowledge as a CPA, and I worked at a large firm years ago and we specialized. So I did a lot of advisory type work. So my CPA work wasn't what you'd think classic. At this level, I was dealing with large companies, right? And individuals with a lot of money. But this is even beyond that. So this is beyond what we were using. And our clients don't expect us to know that. They do expect us to know the things that I already was doing as a tax advisor. But this is next level. This is like Michael Jordan versus everybody else type stuff. She asked me.
That's flattering. And I'm glad I asked you. So what about this is next level? What specifically would you say has been most surprising, most eye-opening to you and will be most valuable for your clients?
Just the suite of options, Each individual option is in and of itself just a great option for reducing taxes. But when you put these all together and you can layer these, and so many of these, a client could take advantage of multiple options, how they feel comfortable. And it just becomes almost a buffet of what do they feel comfortable using and how much do we need to reduce or how much can we reduce? To me, it's just having that entire menu, if you will. That's the big thing. Yeah.
In your previous tax work, have you looked at tax planning as a menu of options, or have you just gone with specific strategies for specific clients?
In the past, when I did it, I had a few strategies, but they weren't at this level, or there weren't so many of them. So I would have some that I knew, like I worked with some that had stock options, qualified stock options, and also dealt with for taxes and for tax credits, right? I knew that there was a group of people that had that, and I could go to them with a strategy for how they can capture some of that and save some money. So I would have strategies like that I could take to a certain group. These strategies are wider, meaning that certainly there's certain groups of people, but it's a large group of people that can benefit from the strategies that you're showing us versus a smaller group that I was looking at. Hey, we're talking about business people that make this much or earn this much. That's a very large group. So the client base is more than we can handle.
Yeah, it turns out, Neil, I know this is going to surprise you. There are a lot of people who would like to pay less tax.
And the ones that don't want to, there must be something wrong with them.
We were talking about this earlier because I joke about how everybody wants to pay less tax, but in reality, not everybody wants to do this kind of planning. There's a formula. People are reluctant to change. And tax planning involves making changes, maybe to their business, maybe to their personal finances, setting up a side business, changes to the way they make their charitable gifts. And they resist change. So when we're looking for clients to do tax planning for, we're looking for people who are in pain over their taxes. If somebody's not in pain over their taxes, they're not interested in the work that we're doing. But the pain has to be enough to overcome the resistance. So it's easy to say, oh, if you don't want to pay taxes, if you don't want to pay less, there's something wrong with you. It's not that there's something wrong with them, but there is some resistance that's holding them back. Maybe they just don't like change. Maybe they're afraid of the IRS. Maybe they're a partner, a firm with 3 different other partners, and they're worried about upsetting the Apple Card. People have lots of legitimate reasons for not wanting to do what we do. And so the answer to that is we don't jam something down their throat that they tell us they don't want. We move on and we look for somebody else who doesn't have that resistance. It comes down to the math. The pain is greater than the resistance. So we save ourselves a lot of time by understanding that. I had a conversation earlier this week with a member of a family. The father is worth 40 million now and headed towards 100 million. Is not making annual exclusion gifts to the grandchildren. He doesn't want to spoil them, and he doesn't want to give up control. These things are more important to him than paying tax. So on paper, he looks like a great tax prospect, and we can save his family millions of dollars in taxes. But psychologically, he's just not ready to do that. So what do? Browbeat him into doing something he doesn't want? No. Anytime you're in financial services, that's something that you're going to run into. Earl, you've been in financial services, you say, for about 8 years. Tell me a little bit about the evolution of your business and why you're here now learning about tax.
I appreciate the myriad of different strategies that you have and how clearly you outline. When you're in financial services, you're hit all the time on the next best way to build your business. It's so much information. You need concepts that are proven, that are clear and actionable. That's the reason that I really sought you out, was to get clarity and to help qualify my time a little bit better with whom I should be sharing it with and whom I shouldn't.
And have you started doing that yet as you've been dipping your toe in the tax planning world, or is that something that's going to happen more dramatically go home?
Yes. In the short that I've been talking with you guys, I've already talked to a few companies that are worth 9 figures or more, and I brought them through the pipeline, and they're very intrigued by all the different things that we do. My favorite thing about the Zoom that we were all on, the company's attorney was just clueless. I didn't know you could do that. And we hadn't even gone into the depth of different options that we have for the company.
Sure. And most attorneys aren't tax attorneys, so they're not going to know that you could do this. I don't litigate. So if a litigator tells me that she can do something in a courtroom, that's going to be new to me. It's just not what I've done. People think that all lawyers know enough to answer their questions at a cocktail party, right? I'm a tax lawyer, and if somebody says, oh, my daughter got fired, can she sue? I don't know. I know taxes. I don't do employment. You did some specialized consulting when you were with the Big Four as a CPA, but it didn't mean that you did audit. It didn't mean that you did tax work.
No.
People hear the word CPA, and I think if you ask 10 different people, what immediately jumps to mind when I say these letters, CPA, you're probably going to get 10 different answers. One guy, his Uncle Murray, did taxes for 40 years, so he'll say tax. But another person has a daughter who's working at Deloitte and doing some specialized business consulting, and somebody else had a bad experience with the IRS and they don't like their CPA because the CPA wasn't able to fix a problem the CPA didn't cause. So, yeah, CPAs aren't know all of this. Attorneys aren't going to know all of this if they're studying this. You're an enrolled agent, so your clients think you're a CPA anyway. So,
After many times of telling them I'm not.
and eventually you get to the point where you should explain
And
it.
I've already gotten to that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are a tax strategist working in real estate, working with other clients. Tell us a little bit about your business, what brings you here, because you have a head start in tax compared to Kate and Earl. So I'm curious why exactly you decided that extra training was right.
I really value education. I used to be an engineer. And when I was an aerospace engineer, when I was in engineering school, I was thinking, what am I learning this for? What is this going to do for me in the real world? And now I've shifted into the tax industry. The more knowledge I have directly translates into the more money I can save my clients when it comes to tax planning. Why I decided to do tax planning, everyone thinks it's in the numbers. Actually, outside the return, I'm impacting people's lives for the better. It's in the numbers. And I can't tell you how many people, I can't tell you how many people have loved the amount of service that we provide, whether it's the tens of thousands of dollars that we've saved them every single year, whether it's the advice that we give them, the trust that we have with each other. This business means more than just numbers on a spreadsheet. It means more than a tax return. We're really helping lives at the expense of the IRS, which sounds great to me as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical.
Yeah. So you said a couple of things that perked my interest. One, you called it the tax industry. Absolutely. This is an industry. We're in business to make a profit, and we make a profit by doing well for our clients. We compete against each other in the tax business. How do I get clients to come to me instead of going to a CPA or an EA or a tax attorney or anybody else in the business? I'm competing against those people, so I have to deliver a better product. And I can deliver a better product in a lot of ways. I could deliver a white glove service. I could hand deliver tax returns to clients at their houses, something silly like that. But the way I choose to deliver is by creating tax savings other people don't. This is it's a high value service for a high income market. I'm cheap. If you question my fees, I'm going to work with you because it's not going to be the right relationship. H&R Block can compete on fees or convenience or whatever. This is a specialized way of competing in a really competitive industry. Calling it the tax industry, that caught my ear. The other thing that caught my ear is people think it's all in numbers, but it's not. It's just a way of keeping score, as you said, Ken. So a tax return is full of numbers, but most of those numbers have some sort of meaning for the client. If I do a tax return or if I'm working with someone who has a $250,000 income, maybe this is the first year they've made that much money, and that's the goal of theirs, to hit 250,000 or 100,000 or $1 million, whatever it is. And the client needs to be congratulated on hitting that goal because the top line number means something to them. If a client just bought a new house, they might be deducting their mortgage interest or the points on the purchase of their house. But if they're just a dream house, if it's the house they've been working their whole life to be able to afford, or if they're a millennial and it's their first house, that's something to congratulate them on. Daycare expenses for the dependent care credit. That doesn't seem very exciting. But to most of my clients, their kids are the most important in the world to them. Or the charitable gifts that they make. If somebody's making decent sized charitable gifts, I'm going to ask them, where's that money going? What's your commitment? Tell me about your charitable legacy. So these numbers all have meaning. Most tax people do nothing to breathe life into the numbers. We compete in the tax industry by breathing life into the numbers and by recognizing that they have meaning for people. So you've been doing CPA work. You were in the service. Thank you for your service. You're in financial services. What do you see happening to your business with the additional tax strategies that you're learning about and this philosophy of laddering tax strategies?
It's a game changer, really. Because when I got into the financial services business, having my CPA background and always being an out-of-box thinker, which isn't always traditional, right? With this line of work.
The accounting profession is often where thinking outside the box.
Yeah. I was a little bit of an odd duck in that profession as I come from. I retired colonel, aviator, ground combat commander, all this. You had to think outside of the box. So it's a game changer for me. One, when I came into this financial services industry, thinking like that and having some tax planning and advisory experience, I found that I could take what I was taught. As I learned the financial services business, I was learning, here it is, here's these products, here's how we do it, here's how they qualify, here's how you implement. And I'm looking at it and I'm immediately going, we could do better just from what they were teaching me. And I would rearrange things or maybe pull money this way and that way. And it would come out maybe 20, 50% better result across the rest of their life. That's just what I knew, right? Now with some of these other strategies, some of them I've heard of, some of them I had not. And then getting that level of experience, it's just going to just accelerate that. And what's going to happen is we're attracting already more clients just with me dabbling in what we do here. So me just getting in on the solar credits, right? Just that all of a sudden we're starting to get a flood of people. When I bring this back, we're going to get a bigger flood of more people that are really interested in this. We're going to be able to deliver. And then of course, I want to take not just these tax strategies, but the products that we offer in financial services and put that all together into a real investment and growth and spending plan that actually better off than just giving them a little bit better in whatever category. So anybody can take money. I tell them all the time, anybody can take money and say, let's take it from here, put it in here, and you see you're better. And I say that's not enough. How do we even, okay, that's better, but is it best? People want to stop. Hey, let's get this, move on. You got to pull all that in. If you pull all that in, now you're going to be able to give them something fantastic. And what you're showing us here is the missing link.
Did you guys ever believe when you first got involved in this that you could save this much in taxes or be able to help your clients this much and with some of these strategies?
At that level?
No, not at all. I didn't know it was possible.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And I learned this from Ed. I didn't know either.
Yeah, it's an interesting lesson in how porous the tax code is. The idea of the tax code is we're going to define income very broadly. Politically in this country, we've been moving towards trying to get exclusions and deductions and loopholes and things like that. And it's like whack-a-mole. Every time Congress closes one exclusion, they open another exclusion. Oh, we're going to close the global intangible tax stuff, but we're going to open up no tax on tips. We're going to open up no tax on overtime. We're going to here's a deduction on car loan interest for new American-made cars. People sometimes ask me, do I worry about a flat tax putting me out? I don't. I don't worry about ChatGPT doing this work anytime soon either. Congress makes the rules, and all we're doing is following the rules. But they're going to keep making these rules.
You mentioned the tax loophole, and I get that all the time when I'm talking to people. Oh, this is a loophole. Maybe it's just me personally, but I think a lot of people look at that. Some people look at it as a positive. Some people look at the word as a negative. I say, I don't consider these loopholes as much as these are written into the tax code. Anybody who's dealt with the U.S. code, which I have a lot in my job, because I was at Department of Defense level finance for the last few years of my career. It's complicated. And when these bills go through, the appropriations go through, or however this is written, there are things in there you have to dig, figure out what's in there in law. And so when I'm talking to them about whether it's solar or anything else, I said, this isn't a loophole. They've actually put this in the code to incentivize people to put money here. Okay. And it's there. And this is how you capture that. Here's how you get, they want you to do. And so many of the strategies that Ed's talking about does just that. So my approach is, this isn't something you have to be scared of. This is there for people to use. They want you to use it. So let's take advantage of that. Is that a loophole? I would say I consider a loophole is something like there's a law and there's some way you can get through it that it wasn't intended.
Well, and that really, the technical definition of a tax loophole is a law that was written to benefit one group of people.
That's right.
Another group discovers that they can benefit from it.
And that is not this.
They weren't the intended beneficiary, but by following the law, they get to benefit from it. Is that legal? Absolutely, it's legal. Is it moral? Is it ethical? That's for you to decide. If you don't feel comfortable taking advantage of a tax law that is legal, but was written for somebody else, and that's the great thing is we have so many strategies that are available. If a client doesn't like one, particular strategy. There's always something else we can do.
No, totally. And that's the thing I'm blown away by, just learning from you, Ed, and really diving deeper into really the more money you make, there's a potential you could pay less in taxes with working with guys like you guys right here. That's unreal. You would never thought that was possible.
No, I have clients who are not going to pay any tax at all in 2025 because of one or more advantages. Probably won't be able to repeat that success every year, but that's fine. They're going to pay less, and multiple strategies. I remember earlier this year working with a client, we promised the client $100,000 in tax savings in 2025 in writing. And when I delivered the plan, there was over $400,000 in savings because there were 4 separate strategies that individually could save him $100,000. He had the luxury of being able to pick and choose from among strategies. The key is just understanding what they are and where they are, so I could compile them in a plan, and then presenting them in a way that helped the client pick the one which was most appropriate for him. For example, today we were talking about leveraged equipment leasing strategy, which lets you put $10,000 down to buy $100,000 of equipment and deduct the full $100,000. So if your tax bill would have been $37,000 and you're putting $10,000 into an equipment down payment, you're coming out ahead $27,000. That's terrific. But the strategy requires you to materially participate in a business for more than 100 hours in the year. And if somebody says, I don't want to materially participate, then let's look at a different strategy. And we looked at something called a leveraged charitable contribution that also puts extra money in your pocket, not quite as much as the leveraged equipment leasing, but it doesn't require 100 hours. So we have multiple strategies for people. And for me, when I'm in my role as an educator, when I'm teaching a class of 40 people, and I say, here's something you can do, here's something you can do, here's something you can do, here's something you can do. It's just strategy after strategy, and seeing people's face as they start to realize, no, I have a client who owns pizza franchises. Would this strategy be good for him? Yeah. Well, and so somebody in the class has a reason to talk with that business owner, a specific idea to bring to them that could make a really big impact on their taxes. As Paul said, it's just the numbers. It's what are you going to do with that money? How are you going to spend that money? Right. Maybe you're going to spend it on your children or grandchildren. Maybe you're going to spend it on retirement security or financial security in general. Millennials talk about spending money on experiences instead of things. Financial security is a great experience. Just ask somebody who's never experienced it. A lot of people take the savings, cars or houses or boats with it. They're just creating more security for themselves. And that's where the real impact comes in. Earl, we've talked about a bunch of different strategies over the last day and a half. What sticks in your mind as something that you're going to be taking to your client?
It's a layering of different strategies. Because at this point in time, I've only known about 1/15 of the strategies that I have so far, and we're not even done yet. I've already 3x my income. Only been learning from you since May. And then I also brought along one of my brokers here. He also 3x his income based on a very small bit of information. So with going through the seminar and being in a position where it's all layered together, where I learn how we can stack these different things, I'm expecting a 10x next year, easily.
That'll be a good year. You can buy me a steak dinner.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, you never should have to pay for a meal ever again.
I believe that's the case. So you've got more day-to-day tax experience. Probably anybody in this room, maybe 1 or 2 people. Certainly, the 4 of us, you have more day-to-day tax experience. For a guy who is credentialed, you're an enrolled agent, you're licensed to represent clients before the IRS, you're about to take the U.S. Tax Court Practitioner exam, you're in a slightly different perspective. Tell us a little bit about what's making a difference for you in this program.
What's making a difference for me is, as Ken mentioned, we have so many options, but it's not only about stacking all the options, it's about how many different clients I can help. I can't remember how many times I've tried to look and see what I could do for a client, and one strategy worked, and that's what helped decide, okay, I want to pay less tax. What I'm really taking out of this class is there's 15, 20 different strategies that we have in our arsenal I'd rather be a Swiss Army knife than the one guy with the one bullet shooting one strategy every single person. And if that bullet doesn't hit, then I have to find someone where it does hit. I don't want to be that person. I want to be a Swiss Army knife for whoever comes through the door, as long as they, of course, are a good candidate to pay less tax.
Sure. And that provokes a lot of conversation. Well, there are a lot of people in the tax reduction space. I call them hitmen. They've got one weird trick that melts taxes away. And I love some of these tricks. Some of them are great strategies, but all you've got is a hammer. Everything is a nail. You've got one solution. And so you spend your time looking for people who can use that solution as opposed to a comprehensive, holistic approach that we take, which is we look at their business entities, we look at their executive comp, we look at their qualified and non-qualified retirement planning, we look at their real estate operations, their portfolio management, their charitable giving, their exit strategy, and we make sure that the income tax plays well with the estate tax. So for us, we're not looking for a specific type of client. We're looking for a broader client. For us, it's are they at the level where we can really do great work for them? I might be able to help a smaller business owner save $2,000 or $3,000 a year in tax, and that's great, and that can make a difference for them. That might make the difference between going to a sleepaway summer camp for the kids or not. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to do that, but that's not going to be especially profitable business for me because my compensation goes up as the amount of savings I create goes up. So we are looking, as I said earlier in this podcast, it's a high value service for high income people.
That was a great point in that having all those different options. I think our confidence level is because we had one or two. And again, I've been getting more business than I personally can handle, right? Now with this, there should be no client that you sit in front of that you don't have an answer, right? So sit in front of people. You can go through this whole thing. If they don't feel comfortable, there's another one. Once you lay that all out, if they really want to save on taxes, something's going to appeal to them. Also on the business side, when you think of businessmen, not all people in business have a business mindset.
No.
Some of them, I'm sorry to offend, but some people, they're in business and they're working 14 hours a day all the time. They are an employee of their own business.
Their own business.
Really.
Yeah, they own a job.
Thank you. Yeah, they own a job. I like that. And so it might not hit with some of those people, but if you do have a business mindset, this makes it very easy to sit down and go over this with them because they're going to find that. We're going to be able to find that place where we can save them and their business mindset is going to kick in and they're going to go, I like that. Let's do that. I already did that with one guy. He's paying over $1 million a year in tax. We're getting him into the solar program, but sitting through this just for a day and a half, I'm sitting there going, I need to go back to this guy because there is a lot more that we can do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can layer those strategies. What's been the most fun for you, Ken?
I'm one of those, my personality is such, I'd love to learn and I love to learn new things. And of course, I like to help people. I've been in service all my life since I was 17. And then when I retired after 38 and a half years in uniform, I wanted to continue to serve in some capacity. So that's when I was doing the tax advisory and all that I got into financial services. So to me, just being able to contribute in some way to help people and really make a difference, felt that way all my life. And now I'm able to help make a difference in individuals' lives and individual families' lives or businesses. And it just feels good. Yeah, I get a check after that and that's nice. But for me, it's really that drive. I don't need that money, but the drive is helping people. That's what's been great for me. And now with this, there's so much more. More importantly for me, I'm head up a advanced planning division. And so at Global Force Impact. And so bringing these types of strategies back with the number of people that are out there that we're touching as a whole with 47,000 agents, not all of them are fully working full time, but they're going to be able to, we're touching so many people. And just what I was already doing was bringing in so much more. Now, when I bring this back, it's going to feel like Moses coming down up the mountain.
And to make a good point, you got to have more than just a paycheck.
That's right.
For your work to really be fulfilled.
Yeah.
I would love to be in a position where I don't have to work.
Amen.
But I'm still going to work when I reach that position. Most of our clients, we work with a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs. Our clients don't want to retire at age 55. This idea of retirement that you're going to move up to Florida, you're going to play golf, you're going to watch Fox News, and you're going to wait until you get a bad biopsy and die. not what our clients are
Benefit
interested in
graveyard.
doing. They're builders, they're doers, they're not interested in retiring. I'm not just making a financial difference. You're not just making a financial difference in your clients' lives. We're helping them lead better lives, give them financial security, whatever that means to them. And it's going to mean a different thing to you and to me, but we're all pursuing those goals. And I like the attaboys as much as I like the checks. I can't spend the attaboys at Kroger's, but it's an important part of what I do. As far as why I like standing up in front of a room like this. So that's the fun part for you. Earl, what's been the most fun for you?
I think it's twofold. I think the impact that I'm having on my community is not something that I imagine I could do from just a financial services point of view. For example, I have a friend, they've owned a bar and a defense contracting business for about 10 years.
That's an interesting combination. Bar and defense contracting. What could possibly go wrong?
Man, they are fascinated people.
They certainly are. I have heard that the soldiers like a drink or two.
They most definitely do. And because of the tax planning that we're doing, they don't have to lay off anyone at the bar. And that bar is a staple in our community. They pay it for a lot of people to be able to go there. And I didn't think I could have that type of impact on the community by learning something. I've been in books. I've been to so many seminars. I go to 2 or 3 every single week virtually for the past 10 years, at least 1 a quarter. And this is completely revolutionary. I would say the second part to that is the confidence that I have talking to anyone. So I'm always in the realm of prosperity now, where I'm talking to wealthy people and I can make an even bigger impact in multiple different ways. And I'm also bringing in better talent, people from real estate, people from hedge funds, people from different places where they can see a real opportunity here and they're making a big impact on their community as well.
Okay.
That's great.
That's outstanding. Paul, your turn. I have a couple. Okay, good. First are your great stories and funny jokes. Thank you. I think you can explain a tax concept to anyone, but when you apply it to a story from something that's really happened, I think that is worth more than its weight in gold. Yeah, and that's how people learn, by stories.
That's it.
Neil, you record podcasts with people. You hear great stories from people across the country all the time.
All the time.
Spreadsheets don't sell. Spreadsheets don't really communicate. So what's the best-selling book in history? It's the Bible. And what does Jesus teach? Through parables. The Bible has one set of bullet points. It's the 10 Commandments. And that's the part that everyone has a problem with.
Yeah, they're simple.
Okay. So I appreciate that. What's the second, Paul?
I love networking with whatever seminar that I go to. I always get to know the people around me. I met someone today who actively buys CPA firms, and that's something that I've been thinking in the future. And just learning more about what people do in real life is reading a blog online is always going to be, I think much more accurate and just much better. And then lastly, we all value education. I utterly value education. Since I joined the tax world, I've done countless hours of continuing education. I think hundreds and hundreds of hours, whether they were counted for me for my CE requirement or not. And it never ends, and I still don't know even half of everything. And we've talked that I want to do more and more just because there's just more to know, and no one knows everything. Nobody ever will, never will, but I really do value it.
Do you want to know everybody who knows everything?
Exactly.
Right. You don't need to know everything if you know a guy.
I do.
You're from Jersey and you say, I know a guy.
I've had units from 20 to 20,000, and I can tell you I couldn't do every job underneath my command. Knowing where the answers are, knowing who they are, and then bringing that together. And then you just feel obligated to learn more, to do whatever it is that you're doing better. And so coming here has just been, this is exactly what I need to take to go to the next level, because I'm helping people, but I could really help them more. And you don't want to kick yourself by going, I'm just going in with this hammer and I'm going to hit every nail and I'm going to force it. I'm going to force them to like it. You don't have to.
Oh, we're surgical.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to.
All right. Any finishing thoughts?
I wish I could have did this 5 years earlier.
Yeah.
Better late than never, Paul. Any final thoughts for it?
5, and I wish I could have done it 5 years earlier.
Yeah.
You've got a lot more time to enjoy the value of all of this than we do, but Neil, we're having fun here.
Yeah.
If you tell most people that there's a tax planning seminar where a bunch of people are going to sit around for 3.5 days and talk about tax planning strategies, most people are not signing up for that. We're having a blast here. We're having a great conversation. We're getting to meet some terrific people and learn some terrific strategies. But as you can see, we're going to go home and we're going to change some lives.
Yeah.
We're going to make some money. We're in the tax industry. That's important, but we're going to make money by changing lives. And we're all going to have fun doing it. And there's a real enthusiasm here in the room that we're going to take home to everybody. So I hope a little bit of that comes through on today's podcast.
I think you did a great job of having this education information. It really to show what you're able to do, Ed, is very impressive. And you know how to teach really well, help others.
Thanks for providing the forum here for me to have this conversation in the podcast world.
Exactly. And the best place is there'll be links down in the bottom, down the line. Just can subscribe to the podcast. All you guys need to listen to it because there's going to be some great information that Ed brings to the table in the next couple weeks, in the next couple years. So appreciate it, Ed. Thank you guys. And I will say goodbye. That's a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the LyonShare podcast, guys. Take care.